Hello, Boxetter1 here, and what you're looking at now is over 120 days of work, over about 5 months, and they are all here today. It is 100 individually penciled and colored frames, or slides I guess you could call them, that I've made, and I'm going to show you all of them here. This has been a big project I've been working on, and I think it's turned out pretty good. You'll see at the beginning they're not as good, and then as you move through, you get to some really cool ones up near the end. So, I do hope you'll enjoy. So sit back, relax, maybe grab a snack because this video is an hour long, and I shall see you with frame 1. Enjoy. And for day number 1 here, we have this, and it's just a motorcycle, a custom motorcycle, riding down the highway. Don't know why I got inspired to make a custom motorcycle for this, but I did. And it's not the best in terms of coloring. I will say that. I don't like how the bike turned out exactly, or the car, especially that one. It looks goofy. The blue one's fine. But yeah, for being the first one, it's not terrible. And the next one, well, he was supposed to be scary. And he's not. This was actually my first, I'd say, failure out of all of them, and one of my only out of all of these. I don't quite like this one. Don't quite like how it turned out. But yeah. Still pretty cool. I did it in pen this time instead of in pencil, so I think that's kind of interesting. This one, however, I think is quite cool for day 3, and it is a rose. And I had this idea late at night. There's random late night inspiration, and I got out and I drew it. So I think it turned out pretty good, with only the rose and her eye being actually colored. I think that looks pretty cool. Anyway, I also like just a simple shadow in the background. Not too complex or anything. And the next one's pretty interesting. It is Malik NG1 from the animation I'm working on. And I think this one turned out pretty good. It isn't perfect, obviously. There are some color changes and all that. Yeah, I do quite like how it turned out, though. His gun, it shouldn't be gold. Don't know why it's gold, but it's gold. It should be mainly silver. And hers looks fine, though. It just, maybe that red should be gray, I think, or the same color as the armor here. But yeah, I think this is a pretty cool one. I, quite like it. Besides his face, it's a bit goofy there. But, yeah, time for day 4. And for day 6, this one I think is kind of interesting. I originally did it in pen, and then I went back and I decided to give it a more stylized coloring with much more vibrant colors. It was definitely intentional, and I'm definitely not just terrible. But I think it turned out pretty good. His face is a bit odd, but I think he could be a pretty cool character if I were to redraw him now. This, of course, being over 100 days ago as of recording this. So, you know, definitely some improvement to be had. I quite like just the background, though. Although it is simple, and if I were to redraw it, I would have added more stuff, I think it gets the point across, especially these crabs. I think those are kind of cool. But yeah, I shall see you in day 6. And this is another one of my failures from early on. It is supposed to be a satellite, and the black really does not go well with the gray. It was supposed to be white originally, and it was actually based on a Lego mock I had back then, but it just didn't turn out in art form. So, we're going to be moving on to day 7. And onto one that actually did come out well. It is like a school or something like this. It has a basketball court here, and some houses in the background. While it's not perfect, I quite like the coloring of it, with that like light, I think it was called light brown or something like that here, and then the tan, as well as the slightly darker green grass. It doesn't really show up as on camera as slightly darker green, but it is more of a muted color, I guess you could call it. Not as vibrant. But yeah, I think this one turned out pretty good. It's supposed to be like a school, as I said earlier, and the surrounding community. So, I shall see you on day 8. And for day 8, we have this. It is a pair of headphones and a computer in the background. A little plug in the wall. I quite like how that actual plug turned out, the cord that you plug in. I think that turned out well. Headphones, they're a bit odd on the shaping. I was modeling after the pair of Sony headphones that I use, and yeah, it's not perfect. I don't quite like it. If I were to do it again, I would definitely change some things about it. But you live and you learn, as they say. So, I shall see you on day 9. And today I did just a simple flower, and I think it turned out pretty good actually. I did color it, of course, and it's not perfect with the coloring, but I think it still looks good. The grass being that same type of grass that we saw in that school one from, I believe, day 7. And this turned out pretty good to me. I quite like that use of gray to do the shadows on the actual flower. That's something I am continuing to work on even to today. Just getting better with color and color theory and all that stuff. But yeah, I think this turned out pretty good. Anyway, I shall see you on day 10. And for this one, I actually did a baseball themed one. And pardon me if anything's inaccurate, which probably is. But I don't play baseball, so or watch baseball for that matter. So I don't know much about it, but I just did a cool person swinging a bat at a ball that's flying towards them. And yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. Originally, I didn't even have a background here. I just had this fence, and that was going to be kind of the end here. But we have some cars here behind the bat, so it's probably not going to deflect and fly and smash a windshield. But you never know. Could get unlucky. But yeah, we have this guy who's definitely supported by his legs and not at all defying gravity. And then this guy who's just standing there waiting. But yeah, I shall see you on day 11. And another one I think that turned out pretty good for day 11 is a draw or a duel or whatever you'd call it with this guy here facing off against him. And he's a bit scarred. It looks like he'd been in a couple of fights. He has a nice little gold-handled revolver, like an ivory grip on it. And yeah, this guy who's about to draw against him. I like old Western stuff. You'll see a lot of that during here. A lot of old Western, like duels and stuff like that, or cowboys and stuff. You'll see that a lot. But yeah, sheriff's office in the background, 2 horses. Pretty simple. I quite like the little Badlands in the background with the, or not Badlands, but just the mountains in the background. I think those are pretty cool. But yeah, I shall see you tomorrow for day 12. And we have this for day 12, and it is actually based on this, which is a Brookstone. Yes, the bank. Little thingamabobber here. Clock and calculator and alarm and everything. But it's pretty cool. I quite like this, so I decided to draw it. And while it's not completely perfect or to scale in the drawing, I think it turned out pretty nice. I was using the actual pen that's in the drawing as well, which I think is kind of interesting. But yeah, pretty cool. I quite like this. And I tried to get it as accurate as I could. Obviously, it's not perfect, but I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed. And I shall see you on day 13. And we have one here that's I think is pretty interesting. It looks even better without this light on it, but that's how I have to record it for it to actually look good and not all messed up. But yeah, it is like a bridge, an old train bridge over a small little water thing, and you can see the reflection in the water of the train bridge. I think that's a pretty cool detail. Originally, when I made this, it wasn't perfect and it didn't look great, but I think the color did add a bit. It was in pen originally, which is why it has such harsh outlines, but I think in this it actually turned out pretty good because of that. But yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. Anyway, I shall see you in day 14. And for day 14 we have this one, which I think is pretty interesting. It is just this girl with more golden yellow hair and blue eyes, so that's pretty cool. She has 2 little earrings in the ear, and I did experiment a bit with color, and this is where I really was wanting to get better and getting into color theory. So I made the inside of the ear like more of a brown, and this is even a different color than this, and I think it turns out pretty good. It's not perfect, and you'll see down the line me change a lot more things as well and experiment a lot more, but I think this one turned out pretty cool. But yeah, I shall see you tomorrow for day 14. And this one's pretty interesting. It's just a ball in some grass. And I don't know why I got inspiration to do this, but yeah, I just decided to do it and I did it. and I think it turned out pretty good. This was also kind of more experimenting with color. You can see all the different colors on the trees are actually different colors, like actual different pencils themselves, as well as on the grass blades and the sky. So yeah, pretty cool. I think the sky should be maybe absent from this if I were to change something. But yeah, pretty cool. See you tomorrow for day 16. And the next one we have there is this house. And it is actually inspired by the house from Little House on the Prairie, the show. I quite like that show. I've watched almost all of it. I don't think I watched the last season for some reason. But I quite like everything about it. And I think this one turned out pretty good. It's pretty simple, and the only thing I don't like about it is that axe. It looks horrible. But the rest of it, the actual house, I think looks pretty cool. But yeah, I quite like the trees as well. They're pretty simple, but again, pretty nice. Anyway, I shall see you tomorrow for day 17. And for day 17, we have this, and I think it's pretty interesting. It's just a guy. I was really focusing on changing up the face here. If you see how weirdly, well, not weirdly shaped, but like differently than what I normally do, especially on the side point of view. That was my experimentation there, and I think it turned out pretty good. Besides, as this little old notes, wow, the neck is a bit long, but I think the rest of it's pretty cool. And then we get a frontal view as well, because I thought just having the side POV doesn't really turn out really good. I should have done a back POV over here to balance it, but I didn't. But yeah, I think it still looks pretty cool. I quite like this one, actually. Anyway, I shall see you tomorrow for day 18. And the next one we have here is a cowboy, of course, on a horse, or an outlaw. He could be an outlaw. But he carries a pistol, and he's pretty cool. He's on a nice little horse here, and I did paint the actual interior, I guess you could call it, of the saddle where you'd sit red. I just think it contrasts well, and it also does, or not really even contrast, it goes well with it. And it basically breaks up it from being more of a muted, less tone-heavy scene to actually having some color. Rant. But we have the cacti as well with some pink flowers on them, because I think pink flower cacti are cool. But yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. I quite like the sand as well, being simple, but well done. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I shall see you tomorrow for day 19. And for day 19, we actually have a pretty interesting one. It was based on this old doodle I did, just randomly on a piece of math paper. And I really like this. I think it turned out really good. And I've never been able to recapture it. I've been able to get close. Like this, I think is pretty good. But I haven't been able to do the same. This is like it's like one of those times where you do something perfect on the piece that you don't want to do perfect. And then when you want to do it perfect, it's absolutely horrendous. But I think it turned out pretty good with the color and everything. It's not absolutely great or amazing or anything. And yeah. But I quite like the old reference. And I want to try and do this again. I want to try and perfect it. But yeah, I shall see you tomorrow for day 20. The 1/5 of the way point. And for day 20, it's a bit different. It's this horrific monster that I made. And it's not perfect, obviously. I think the one thing I would want to change is kind of have more of the silhouette be important. Like here, it's just a big dark figure, and yeah, the silhouette's there, obviously, and that's what makes it a bit more creepy because of the neck and all that and the weird proportions. But I think having a larger window, like say a big window of like you'd see on a more fancy house or something, with this just standing in front of it with no context, the entirety of the picture having this more dark tone, instead of just being part of it with the figure, it should all be that black, and the silhouette being the main focus and focal point of this. If you understood any of that, okay. But anyway, I think it's not too bad, and I quite like the weird looking proportions, but yeah, not too bad, not perfect to what I would want. Anyway, I shall see you tomorrow for day 21. And day 21 is pretty interesting. It is another more experimental one with more color changes, like the actual, I guess, reflection or just the visor in the helmet with the blue and the green there. The dark blue motorbike I think is pretty interesting. As you can see, it was originally going to be red, but then I realized helmet should be red, motorbike can be blue. And so I did the helmet, a little bit of highlight here for the shine of like the sun hitting it or something. Should have really emphasized that with some more shadow on like this side or something like that, but I didn't, I guess. But yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. I like old, or not old even, just little motorbike helmets. Dirt bike helmets, actually. That's more of a dirt bike helmet. But yeah, you see some more dirt bike tracks in the mud. So yeah, dirt bike. But yeah, pretty cool. I shall see you tomorrow for day, what is it, 22. And for day 22, we have an interesting one. We were on a trip for this one, and I decided to randomly draw it in the car while we were driving, because we were stuck in heavy traffic, as always. There was a cool little, like, semi-truck, so I decided to draw a semi-truck. And I think it turned out pretty good. I did use, obviously, reference in this case, and that's probably why it turned out actually looking kind of like a semi-truck. The car isn't perfect here. I think the windows are a bit too low. They should definitely be higher and have a different shape, but, yeah. I quite like the semi, and I also added this mirror while coloring it. It wasn't there originally. I just decided to add it because I think it makes sense. And also, why didn't I draw it previously with a mirror? I'll never know. Or is that what this is supposed to be? I don't know. But yeah, I shall see you tomorrow for day 23. That should be interesting. And for day 23, it is in fact interesting. It is a telephone pole, or I guess power pole, whatever you call this thing, with a ton, and I mean a ton of cables, cords, wires, everything on it, even a bird. And yeah, I saw this while we were there at on the trip still, and it was a very weird looking thing with all the cables and all the stuff, like these weird little things that I don't even know what they do. If you know like electricity poles or something like that, you'll probably know what those are. But they're old and they're very weird. But I think it turned out pretty good. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed. I shall see you tomorrow for day 24. And we have day 24 with this guy. Now, he was originally based on an older drawing I did, also while on the trip still, and I tried to recreate him here. And I think he turned out not too bad, but in the actual original drawing, he was a bit more menacing looking. And that's kind of the look I was trying to get across with him, but he just looks like a guy smoking a cool little pipe. And he did have a pocket watch, though, which is based off old pocket watch I have, or stopwatch. But I think it turned out not too bad. The color in this one isn't very vibrant or anything. He only has a bit of blue in his eyes and his skin. The rest is black or gray. But yeah, I still think it's a pretty interesting one. Pretty simple, though. Anyway, I shall see you tomorrow for day 25. And for day 25, it's not very good. It's supposed to be like a cardinal or something. It looks terrible. And I'll be honest with that. I colored it anyway and I finished it anyway, but it doesn't look very good. Maybe my reference exploded halfway through or something, but yeah, it doesn't look very good. Still on the trip with this one, but I think it's pretty interesting, we'll say. And I kind of like the grass, how it's more swayed to one side rather than straight up and down. But yeah, pretty cool. Anyway, I shall see you tomorrow for day 26. Also, it's the 1/4 of the way through point. And for this day, day 26, we have an interesting one. This is a convenience store. Just thought I'd draw it. I think it looks pretty cool as well. I made the black top black and on top, as in on the bottom. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. And I quite like how dark I put the actual ground there. I think that actually adds a bit. But yeah, I think it looks pretty nice. I shall see you day 27. And for day 27, we have this. It is just some cars parked in a parking lot. Pretty simple, but pretty cool. I quite like the orange truck. This car is a bit malformed, but you'll see me get better with cars slowly as I go on. It doesn't get perfect yet, but yeah, we'll definitely see them improve. I also did the darker black top, although the reflection really doesn't help. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. And for day 28, we have something even more interesting, although not as well done. It is a 1901 Indian head set, and I actually have the actual 1901 Indian head set here, which I got, and that's pretty cool. I drew them around the same time that I got this one, and the only thing I don't like about it is most of it. So, I don't like the face shape, first of all. It doesn't resemble this as much. And also, just in general, it doesn't look very good. It's not round. It's not great. Later on, though, you'll see me actually do a coin that actually looks good, surprisingly. But yeah, I shall see you tomorrow for day 29. And we have actually a pretty cool one for day 29. It is this weird-looking monstrosity that I made based on a character in a dream. So it can be as horrifying as you want it to be in a dream. But yeah, it was actually a friendly creature in the dream, which is kind of weird, given what it looked like. But it is pretty cool. Has some hydraulics and a nice spiky tail. I think it looks pretty nice. Anyway, I shall see you for day 30. And for day 30, we have something with the interesting backstory. Not as interesting as a piece, but I just drew like a back room. Pretty simple, stuff on shelves, pretty simple. I actually got the inspiration, however, from a reflection on a monitor in a hospital. Very weird inspiration. It was for the blue light, and I think it would have been even more effective if I did the rest of the piece extremely dark. And I think that would actually look good if I did so. But yeah, I think it's pretty just interesting, the inspiration for this one. Not as much the actual piece. Still kind of cool. Anyway, I shall see you for day 31. And for day 31, we have something that's a bit odd. It's this girl in pink, which is pretty interesting. When I originally drew it, it wasn't supposed to be in pink, but I decided to put it in pink, so I put it in pink. And yeah, I don't remember what the story is behind this one. I mean, I did it over 70 days ago, but it's pretty cool looking. I quite like it, actually. One thing I don't like is that her body is a bit out of proportion on this side, and just in general with her head, it should be a bit skinnier or like more pushed in. It's a bit larger than it should be. But I think it looks pretty good. In the color aspect, anyway. I shall see you for day 32. And the next one for day 32 is actually based on this car from 1985 LEGO set Formula 1 Racer. And I thought I might as well draw something cool like this. And so I did. I built or drew a race car based on this set. And I think it turned out pretty good. But what I did next day is actually goes off of this same set. I actually used reference of an actual Formula 1 race car, a newer one, to draw in the style of this. So, I shall see you in that day. And if what I said earlier doesn't make any sense to you, it doesn't make sense to me either. But this is like an actual Formula 1 race car. I looked up images and I got a reference. And so I drew this, and I think it kind of pretty cool representation of the actual car. I added a lot more red on this one for the number 1, where the rest is just black and white on the actual set. But I think it looks pretty cool. It has the same spoiler in the back, or similar spoiler. Obviously, it's a bit different. But I think it looks pretty nice, and it has the racer as well. I did change his helmet color, it seems, to red. Should have had it white, honestly. I don't know why I changed that in the coloring process, but guess I did. Anyway, I shall see you for day 34. And for day 34, it actually is a bit of a weird one. I was trying out a cool perspective, looking up at a character like that. And I think it turned out pretty good, except I should have definitely gone in more on the arms and the torso. Specifically, the arms should have been going in and then go out as they gradually go down. It's just all the same length throughout, or same width throughout. So it doesn't look perfect, but what I do like is the coloring. I think the coloring, especially of the background, looks great. Character is a bit bland, needs a bit more shading, but I think the background looks really good, especially. But yeah, pretty cool. I shall see you in day 36. And by that I mean day 35, because I can't count. But this is Malik, if you know him from my animation that I'm working on. And I think he's pretty cool. I think he looks pretty nice. And I quite like this picture. The coloring also worked pretty good, and I was really just testing out values and stuff. But I think it looks nice. I like him. Anyway, I shall see you in day 36. And this day is very similar to the Formula 1 Racer, where we actually used a Lego as a reference. And this is set 420 from 1973. It is a pretty cool little police car. And so I decided to draw it into an actual picture. And I think it turned out pretty good. I do like, especially the color value with the light blue going into dark blue up near the top. I think that turned out pretty cool. and I just like it in general. But yeah, pretty interesting. Also, the wheels look like they're deflated, but we'll look past that. On to day 37. And for this day, we have something pretty interesting. It is just an eye. And I just draw this character randomly. I don't know why I drew this, but I think it turned out pretty good. I do like the value with the shading here and on the side. I don't like the eye as much. I think there should be a bit more light blue in the middle. I don't know why it's not as colored there, but I think the rest of it looks pretty good. I like how the hair goes, and I think it looks pretty fine. Anyway, I shall see you for day 38. And for day 38, we have what is supposed to be Elvis. You probably can't tell that it's supposed to be Elvis, but it is. I was listening to a cassette tape, and while it was Elvis, I thought the cover looked cool, so I decided I might as well draw it. And it didn't turn out looking like Elvis. It turned out looking not like Elvis, and it didn't turn out very good. But I still think it's pretty interesting, and one of my failures along the way. But I shall see you in day 39, where it does get better, hopefully. And it definitely does get better for day 39. It is this, like a old medieval tower atop some simple green grass rolling hills. There's a river below with some reflections of the grass actually in it, which is kind of cool. And it has a bunch of these red flowers around, and I think it turned out pretty good. I believe these vines are a bit too saturated, but the rest of it I think turned out pretty good. I quite like it. It's different from what I normally do, and the values here, you can see I used a lot different colors of colored pencils here over top of each other, and I think it turned out pretty nice. Anyway, I shall see you in day 40. And for day 40, we have this guy. Just, I think he's supposed to be a baseball player, sitting in a dugout, and he has, number 1 on his jersey as well. And, yeah, he's just waiting to go up to bat or whatever you do in a dugout. If you don't know, I don't know anything about baseball, really, but I like baseball, so. Conflicts, but I think it'll turn out pretty good. It's not perfect. I think his head is slightly out of proportion. It should be slightly bigger, I think. But I think it looks generally pretty good. Anyway, I shall see you for day 41. And for day 41, we have an archer. And I think he's pretty cool. He has a bow and, yeah, some arrows in his hand. And he's holding in a pretty common shooting technique. But, yeah, he also has a quiver on his side, so he can draw more arrows. I can't speak. Arrows. And, yeah, he just has some chainmail, some red, I guess, what would you call that around him? Tunic, not even a tunic, I forget, like a banner, I guess you could say. And he's just standing atop a castle wall, shooting at either an enemy or a target. But, yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. Not perfect, obviously. There are some things I don't like about it, but still pretty cool. And for day 42, we have this, a speedboat, or just a boat, atop the water, and I think it looks pretty cool. I quite like the actual boat itself, and then there's a small city in the background with a beach, based on, I think, Ocean City, Maryland? I don't remember. I've only been there once, and it was literally like about 8 years ago now, and I don't remember much at all. But I think it was a pretty cool place to be. And that's where I based the catwalk or whatever boardwalk on. And yeah, I just think it turned out pretty good. Anyway, I shall see you in day 43. And for day 43, we have this behemoth. You may have seen him before if you've watched Daily Art for a while. This is what I called here the General. He's more of a gladiator. I think I turned him in finally. But he's pretty cool. I quite like him, and he looks pretty menacing as well. But yeah, he's just a big orc or pig-inspired monster, and I think he turned out pretty good. The only thing I don't like is how his wrist is literally just dislocated or broken there. Doesn't look very good, but yeah, I should have definitely done like a line or something of shading here to kind of show that it isn't in fact broken and that it's in front of this arm by a bit. But yeah, pretty cool. And for day 44, it's not too good. It's actually one of my things I considered a failure. Even now, especially now, with the eyes, I wanted to do it looking cool, and this looks fine. But then I kind of messed it up horribly there, and it doesn't look very good. So we're just gonna quickly move past it. Oh yeah, the shading does look kind of cool, though, under there. It doesn't look perfect, but kind of better. And for day 45, we have something interesting. I showed earlier the penny, the Indian had sent, and I said it didn't look good, but coming up would be a coin that looks good, and this is it. This is the euro, or I think 10 euro cents, could be 20 euro cents. I don't know much about euros, but I got a very shiny euro from Euro cent. We're just going to call it euro, from 2024, and I thought to myself, I wanted to draw it. So that's what I did, and I think it turned out pretty good. I quite like it, and it's actually a circle this time. But yeah, pretty cool. See you in day 46. And for day 46, I actually think this one looks pretty cool. This is just a guy walking. He's a bit sweaty, been probably walking all day, and he does have a nice little hat on his back. I quite like the facial shape here. I think it looks really cool. It kind of looks like, I think it kind of looks like the Prowler from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, or the first movie, whatever that one was called. And I quite liked that movie. That movie series is probably one of my favorite animated movie series that they have right now. But yeah, pretty cool. I quite like this guy. But yeah, I shall see you for day 47. And for day 47, it's pretty simple, but kind of interesting. Kind of like a more run-down area where you see a lot of crime. And we have this guy with a gas mask and a baseball bat. Don't ask me why he has a gas mask, because it looks cool. And he was standing next to his own wanted poster. And yeah, I just think it's pretty simple, but pretty cool. Kind of looks like the guy from, what was it, Borderlands, I think it was? Never played the game, but the gas mask is what reminded me of that. But I think it does look extremely different. So I'm probably not making much sense. But yeah, I shall see you in day 48. And for 48, we have this one, which is based on this Lego figure. And I got this figure for, I think, like $3 at a half-price books. And it turned out that it had a pretty cool set associated with it. It was a like an off-road kind of bridge crossing a river. Truck crossing a river on a bridge. There we go. That's English. And I decided to draw it. So that's what I did. And yes, this guy's a bit stubby. His legs are, in fact, not up to standard. But I think it turned out pretty cool as well. I like the little truck in the background. Based on the truck in the set, obviously. But yeah, I shall see you in day 49. And this one is actually really interesting. This is just a fire. And I think it turned out pretty good. I really went crazy with the color here. And I have the foreground all lit up with light warm values, and then the dark background has a lot of color values like purples and blues and blacks, and that actually looks really good. I quite like how this one turned out, and I definitely think it looks pretty cool. So I shall see you in day 50, halfway point. And we have day 50, one of my actual favorites out of all of this, just because of how cool it looks. And I decided to do something different. I wanted to work with lighting. I think I watched a show and it had some cool animated scenes with the lighting. And I decided to just try and do something cool. So, hope I succeeded here. Yeah, I made this little window with light. And to make this cool value change, I used completely different colors from the ones in the dark area. Used basically lighter versions. Like this is just dark brown or brown. And this is light brown. Wow. But I think it turned out pretty good. I think it looks nice. It wasn't supposed to be a prison, but also it was, and then it wasn't with the walls and everything, but I guess I made it a prison. But yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed. I shall see you in day 51. And for day 51, we have this. This is just a windowsill with a wooden, what do you call that? Wooden little thing in front of the window. And I decided to draw it. Also was working on shading here. 51 was way better. 50 was way better. But I was trying more shading, of course, here as well. But yeah, pretty cool. Time for 52. Wow, that was bright. And this is one of the first times, and rare times, that I actually use a reference like this from another piece of media for my art. and it's a Star Wars B-1 battle droid. I just thought I'd draw him because B-1 battle droids are cool. Anyway, I shall see you on day 53. And for day 53, we have this one, which is a bit different. It is a guy, and I think I did pretty good on the coloring. Not in some parts I didn't, like right under there, but in some parts I did pretty good. And it doesn't show up well on camera, but there's actually two lights coming on him, a blue light and a red light. And it shows up much better without the bright flash on, but gotta do it or else it'll look garbage. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. His eyes are also kind of misaligned, but it's pretty cool. Day 54. And for day 54, it's a bit different. It is a very vibrant, I guess you could say, where I was again trying to do a weird thing with color, and I think it turned out not terrible. It isn't perfect. It isn't great, but I think it turned out pretty good. And I was just using dark values in the background and lighter values up in the foreground to represent lighting and stuff like that. With shadows being more of a dark blue instead of a black, which I think does look pretty good in some instances. It doesn't look great in all. But yeah, pretty cool. Anyway, day 55. And for day 55, we have one that I think is not too good. Obviously, it's simple, and I was kind of just testing out a character design that I wanted to do. Didn't turn out very good. Let's move on to day 56. And for day 56, we have a cat. I was staying somewhere during these past few days, and I decided to draw the cat that was at the place we were staying. And so I did. Very nice cat. Under some fabric that it was sleeping of a fabric of a window shade or window shade, whatever you call it. Curtain. There we go. And I decided to draw the cat, and I think it turned out pretty good. I did use some weird colors to make it, and I think it turned out pretty good. Day 57. And for day 57, we have this one, which also was pretty cool. I drew it originally. It was supposed to be mainly black, and you can see the hair was supposed to be black as well. But I changed it up, and I decided to give it more color. And I think it turned out pretty good. It's not perfect, obviously, and there are some things I would want to change, but I think it turned out pretty good. Anyway, I shall see you on day 58. And day 58 is a sunset scene. Of course, I have a ton of these actually on here, and I think it turned out pretty good. It's a mountain pass over here. Are these called buttes? The stone things that just stand up in the air? I think they're called buttes, right? Cacti. Cacti all around, or cactuses, if you're weird. And then there's the, this thing, which I don't know what it says, but something cool. Yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. Anyway, these sunsets will also improve as we go on, if you didn't know. But yeah, pretty nice. See you in day 59. And day 59, it's not very good, but I did it anyway. It is a power tower. Power tower. Just made that up. What do you call these things? Transformer? I don't know the technical term. I saw one, decided to draw it, so I drew it. And it turned out pretty good. There are a bunch of windmills in the background, which I also saw, so I drew them. And I quite like it. I don't like the coloring as much. I don't like much else about it besides the power tower, as I'm going to call it itself. But, yeah. Especially the coloring. I think it should be darker. It shouldn't be this bright. I was going to make it super bright because the place where we're at, it was quite bright around there. It doesn't transfer very well to this. But yeah, I shall see you in day 60. And day 60 is actually one I quite like. It is Masacre from the animation I'm working on. And he is in a more animated style. I mean, it is an animation, but you know what I mean. It's a very different style than what you see him in previously. And I actually quite like this. It's different from all of the rest. It's not the same generic head shape either. It's more of a elongated one, and I think that works good for his character. I like his blonde hair as well. That's something I want to have in the final. Originally, he was going to have brown blonde hair, but I think just blonde could look pretty cool. Because he is supposed to be more of an aristocrat or like higher member of society. Spoilers! But pretty cool. I quite like this character, and I quite like this drawing of him. I may actually change in the final animation, since I don't like how most of the Masacre scenes turned out, with his face anyway. I may actually change them to this type of style, because I quite like this. Anyway, Day 61. And day 61 is not very impressive. It's just more test designs. I was testing out a design for like a dress. Doesn't look very good, but I kind of like the hair. I do like the hair on that. Specifically the side profile. That doesn't look as good, but side profile looks cool. Anyway, I shall see you in day 62. And for day 62, we have this. It was from a dream, which is why everything's weird. But yeah, I quite like these two. And she's weird because she was very weird in the dream. And yeah, the eyes are really weird. That's the one thing I noticed about her. And I don't know why. I'm guessing it had to do with the dream. I mean, I had this so many days ago, I don't remember. But it was a dystopian dream. Very weird, very, very weird dream. So I have some very weird characters. Anyway, see you in day 63. And for day 63, we actually have one of my favorites out of all of these. I have a couple favorites, but this is probably going to be in my top 3. Definitely my top 3. And it is just a car. Pretty cool car at that. And it's in blue. And I was going to do it in like black or white or red or something simple like that. But I decided, might as well do blue. I don't think I've done a blue before. And I hadn't at this time. This was before I colored all of these. So it's, yeah. This one was a first. And I think it turned out really good. It's not perfect, but I did add some reflections on the bumper of the sky with the blue and the green of the grass as well, which you can see in the back. But yeah. I should have also added blacktop reflections because there is a lot of blacktop here. And I also quite like that with the shadow and all that. I think it turned out pretty good. Peaches. Goodbye. Or see you in day 64. Can't remember what I'm doing anymore. And for day 64, we have another weird dream creature. And it was this weird looking thing, fleshy thing, that stuck on somebody's skull. Or head. It didn't kill them or eat them. But it definitely wanted to. It's a very weird looking creature, and you can see the bottom of it also. It was very, very weird dream, and I quite like it though. It looks cool. The eyes are definitely different from what I normally do. They're kind of cool. I quite like it actually. But yeah, see you in day 65, which is a weird one. And it's weird because it's terrible, and I hate it. You can see where I even added multiple revisions, and it still doesn't turn out well. I don't like this one. I didn't even color it. That's how much I didn't like it. Day 66. And for day 66, we actually have an interesting one. This was a color test for the animation I'm working on. I was trying to see, can it look good in color with the techniques I'm using? And it doesn't look terrible. In the actual thing, though, it'll be more slightly muted colors because this is very bright, obviously. And I want it to be slightly darker. Like the hair, even in mine, is going to be like a navy blue, where this is just blue, I believe. But yeah, pretty cool. See you in day 6-7. And for day 6-7, we have this. It is just a back alley or something. There's a sushi shop here. It says sushi in Japanese as well. It's hard to see, but it's there because sushi is Japanese. And green clothes, apparently. There's just a walkway here. There's garages and stuff. Just looked like a dystopian alleyway or something like that. I don't know what I was doing. Here's my hand. But yeah, pretty cool. See you in day 68. And day 68 is a weird one. It is definitely different. The original version wasn't very good, or it was good, but it also, I wanted it to be dark. I wanted it to be night, not a day, and the sky was quite bright. So I just turned everything black, basically. And use the dark navy blue here for some shading, the black for shading, and I just have yellow illuminated lights. Well, it's not perfect. I don't think it's absolutely horrendous. It's kind of horrendous looking, but not absolutely. And yeah, this is kind of interesting. I shall see you in day 69. And day 69 isn't very interesting at all. It's just bush, undergrowth, all that. Saw some, wanted to draw it, didn't turn out great, but did it anyway. Day 70. And day 70 is a weird one. It's a hand. It's my hand, but it looks, obviously, it's not dark brown hair. Maybe it is. Yeah. It looks obviously a bit different than, I'll try to do the pose. How did I have it here? Like that? Or like that? I don't know. Something like that. And it's blurry, of course, because why? But I think it turned out pretty good. This is my first attempt. There's another attempt later on that I don't remember if it's better. But we'll see in a second, or a little while. I still think it's kind of cool, though. Day 71. And day 71, as well as day 72, you'll see, are not very interesting. But it's just, I'm guessing, a character concept that I was working on, and I wanted to try and test something out. But, yeah. It kind of looks cool. It's very small, so I couldn't add much detail. You see that in this face, and you can see my fingers larger than the head. So, not very detailed, but day 72. And as I said, it was also going to be a test, just trying out hair. Didn't like it, so I quit. Day 73. This one is kind of interesting because I tried out a different technique for trees, the branches, and the leaves. And I hate doing the leaves this way because it takes so long, but it also looks pretty good. So that's what I did, and I think it turned out pretty nice here. I have mountains in the background, and then some sky, or clouds even, and I think it looks actually pretty good. I think the colors blend pretty well with the tree and the background. This should be a bit darker, but I did that before the background, so I don't know what I was thinking there, making it so light, but I think it turned out pretty good. Day 74. And here we have a revolver, like a cardboard model I was planning on making. I don't think I ever made it, but I was planning on making it. It was going to be a break action revolver, and I thought it would be pretty cool to make with using magnets for the break action feature and joints and stuff like that. But yeah, never got around to making it. Still a cool design though. Day 75. And day 75 is actually an interesting one. We were coming home from, I don't know where, but somewhere, and I just remember drawing this in the car on the way because I brought it with me to draw, so might as well have done it. And so I did, and I think it turned out pretty good. It's just a kid smashed a baseball through a window. His friend is hiding behind a tree, and his father is probably berating him. The father isn't in as good of a pose, but I quite like the kid's pose. He's kind of more trying to wiggle his way out of the situation, but clearly that's not going to work, as there's a big hole in the window. But yeah, I quite like this one. The colors are a bit too vibrant, but I still think it looks pretty good, and I quite like how I did with this, where it's darker inside the actual hole in the window. I think that looks pretty cool. Anyway, I shall see you in day 76. Ooh. And for day 76, we have this one. A nice little sunset, and it looks better without the flash even. But I think it looks pretty good. We're actually trying to turn that down. You can kind of see the contrast a bit. And I think it looks pretty nice. The top part, anyway. Don't pay attention to this. We're not going to talk about this. But the top part looks nice. We'll just pretend that isn't there. And I think it looks pretty cool. I quite like it. Probably the best sunset I've done. And I used a reference for this one. That's probably why. But yeah, pretty cool. I quite like it. Anyway, see you in day 77. And for day 77, we have a mouth. A big mouth. A yelling mouth, even. And I quite like this one. I drew this, I think, without reference. I may have used reference to see how a mouth looked open. But other than that, I didn't use reference for anything else. And maybe that's a bad thing, but I think it turned out pretty good. I quite like it. And the only thing I don't like is kind of the perspective on the teeth. Specifically these ones here. The rest look fine, I think, but those ones specifically, I don't know what was going on, because those look relatively fine. I don't know. But see you on day 78. And for day 78, we have something pretty interesting. It's a church. I just had the idea to draw a church, so I drew a church. Simple as that. And I think it turned out pretty good for a church. I don't think I used reference for this one, actually. I just used my memory. Or maybe I did use reference. I don't remember. My brain is... I did this like 50 days ago. But here's the sun just shining through the clouds vividly. There's a field in the background, some trees. It's a pretty simple background, but the church is the main thing I wanted to draw. And I think that looks pretty cool. I like the stained glass windows as well. Just random colors in there, and I think that looks pretty nice. But yeah, see you in day 79. And day 79, we're going to move past quick because it's terrible. I don't quite like it at all. It was supposed to be sunrise in the morning at, there's just some desks here. There's a cool little sunrise. I couldn't transfer it well. I'm bad. So, we're going to move on to day 80. Fingies. Why did I say that? What is wrong with me? And wow, that was bright. For day 80, we have this. It was just a foggy day, and I saw a cool house. So I just decided to draw a house. Not the house, but a house. That was similar. And, yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. I have a lamppost, which is the only actually colored thing in this. Well, the whole scene's colored. It's just in gray. Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. It's not perfect. I do want to work on making foggy drawings that actually look foggy, because I think that could be a really cool effect. But I definitely have not perfected that, as you can see. But yeah, I still think it's pretty cool, and a pretty cool concept that I want to work on. So I shall see you in day 81. And for day 81, we just have this one. Just blonde person, human, female. And I quite like the hair with the alternation of the stuff there. Obviously, it's not a perfect method or way to do it. And yeah, it doesn't look perfect, but I think it turned out pretty good. What I don't like is how I ended the hair. The big blobs leading into the end doesn't look good. It needs to be gradual, like a gradual decline. Like if I stayed it here and just kept going instead of blobbing it out, that would have looked better. Anyway, hair rant. But the rest of it is pretty simple. It doesn't look very good, but we're gonna look past that. Anyway, see you in day 82. And for day 82, we just have a small train station. I didn't use reference for this. I really should have. This could be a really cool thing to draw, like a Tokyo train station. I think that could be cool, or like a Kyoto, or even like one in Europe or something like that. I like train stations, but I've never been to a train station, so but yeah, pretty cool. Not very good though, so work on that concept, me. Why do I speak? And for the next day, we have a sandwich on a napkin. Was eating a sandwich, decided to draw the sandwich. Simple as that. What I do like about this is actually the fabric folds in the napkin. I think that looks pretty cool. The thing I don't like about it is, well, there's not too much I don't like about it. I wish I gave more contrast between the ham and cheese and the bread, because it just looks like the cheese, you can kind of distinguish the yellow cheese there, but the ham, it's basically invisible. So, yeah. Needed to work on the distinguishing of colors there. But I do like the fabric folds, and I think the rest of it turned out pretty good. As good as a ham cheese sandwich can turn out. Anyway, day 84. And for day 84, we have this. It's just a shading practice, really. And it didn't turn out great. Didn't turn out terrible, but it didn't turn out great. And, you see the light is the main light source. Obviously. Yeah. Not too great, but, not absolutely horrendous. Anyway, moving on to day 85. And for day 85, we have the second hand. This one I drew more recent, not a recenter, more recent. And I think it turned out not too great, but not too bad. I think it may be a little better in terms of proportion to the other one, and I do like the shading on this one a lot more. But what I don't like about it is some of the things, like this finger specifically. I feel like it's a bit too skinny. It just needs to be slightly long, or not longer, but thicker. Other than that, it's not too bad, surprisingly. But yeah. Oh. Well, anyway, day 86. And for day 86, with the lighting fixed, we have a ball. This is one of the simplest things an artist can draw, really, when practicing shading. And I've been absolutely horrendous at it my entire time as an artist. So I finally got it, and to a place where I think it looks acceptable for me. I don't like how, obviously, it's not very good, but I don't think it's absolutely horrendous compared to what I used to do. It's not horrifying. So yeah, I just enjoy this one because I think it turned out pretty good. Anyway, day 87. And for day 87, we have this guy. I'll turn it down a bit so he's a bit more creepy. No. But he's pretty cool. He's just a creepy-looking old guy. And so I drew him coming out of the black of the night. Anyway, yeah. I think it turned out pretty good. He is bald. Anyway, yeah, I quite like this one. It's a bit goofy, but kind of cool. Anyway, day 88. And for day 88, I guess I went crazy and decided to draw a goldfish. not the animal. I think it turned out pretty good. It's obviously the simplest thing to draw, and I think the shading's not horrible. I don't know how I got that messed up with coloring out of the lines. I mean, it's a simple shape. I shouldn't have. I don't know what was going on there. Maybe I ate too many goldfish or something, but goldfish. Anyway, see you in day 89. And for day 89, we have a forklift. I mean, it's a forklift. It's pretty simple. And I just realized that this fork, or not fork, but the actual thing is slightly out of perspective, yeah, slightly out of perspective with that. It's not at the correct angle. We'll look past that for a second, but I quite like the forklift. It's simple. It doesn't have much color to it, though. It's mainly black, gray, and white. But this was the time I got a Lego forklift, so I decided to draw a real forklift. Pretty cool. Anyway, see you in day 90. And for day 90, we have a lake, and I think this one turned out pretty good. I quite like the coloring on it, specifically in the hills, but it's pretty simple. I think it turned out pretty nice, though. I also have some nice sky. What should have happened is that darker blue be on the top. It makes it look like there's an ocean in the background, and that's something you'll see if there is an ocean, more dark blue skyline. You want to have that at the top if you want there not to be an ocean. But here's a lake, just a lake with a sailboat on it. Got inspiration from a Greg's World video. The YouTuber Greg's World, very good YouTuber, quite like him, watching him. Recently hit 1 million subscribers a couple months ago. Pretty cool. Anyway, moving on to day 91. And for day 91, we have a plant. Just a plant. I saw it in a classroom, and it was a big plant. It's quite a big plant, with some big leaves. So I decided to draw the big plant with big leaves. And I also added a bit of reflection because it was quite a reflective surface it was on. And I quite like that effect. I think it looks pretty cool. But yeah, I also have some reflection of the window behind it, of course. And I think it turned out pretty good. Just a plant, pretty simple, but pretty cool. Day 92. And, wow, that's blurry. For day 92, right, 92, we have a bunker. And the main thing of the bunker was the gun. I wanted to draw a gun. I had a dream about a big bunker with a big gun. I just drew a simple bunker with a slightly smaller gun. I should have drawn the actual thing. It was a very cool dream and a very cool view. It was like on top of a mountain or something like that. And it was a very interesting dream, but I just drew gun, bunker, simple bunker even. Very simple bunker. Not even in the style of any specific type. But there's also a German 3-wheel car, so. World War II. Pretty cool. Day 93. And day 93, a little bit better. I used a reference for this one, and I wanted to draw an eye, because if you don't know, I'm terrible at drawing eyes, something you'll come to find easily if you look at anything I drew. But this one isn't too bad. I use reference, so that's why it's not too bad, but we'll look past that fact. I think it looks pretty nice. I quite like that. And the reference was only of the eye, so the rest of it was kind of freehand, and you can see that's why it doesn't look as good. But, yeah, I quite like the eye. I think the eye turned out pretty good. Anyway, day 94. And for day 94, I drew a Maxwell tape. Cassette tape, of course. And I think it's pretty cool. I quite like cassette tapes, listening to them all the time, and, yeah, just decided to draw one for this day. It's a 60-minute. Pretty cool. The only thing I don't like about it is the vibrancy of the red. I don't quite like how it's a bit more dull here, and it's super vibrant here. That's one thing I'm not very good at, vibrancy in color. I'm not good at color in general, but, like, that's one thing I notice. But yeah, still pretty cool. I quite like that. Anyway, let's go on to day 95 now. And for day 95, one I don't quite like. It's just a car pulling into, like, some rich neighborhood or something. It's pretty bad, I'll be honest. The coloring doesn't help. It's pretty bad. We're gonna move on quickly to day 96. And here we have a dead mall. My favorite type of mall, or actually I like malls with people, but I like watching on video people exploring these dead malls or abandoned malls. I think it's just cool to see these older places completely gone, basically, of people, and just dark and decrepit looking. But yeah, I decided to draw one. I think it turned out pretty good. This is supposed to be probably what was the food court. I didn't use reference, so it's not perfect, obviously, but I think it turned out pretty good. So yeah, I shall see you in day 97 now. And for day 97, this one's actually pretty good, actually, did you know it was actually pretty good? I used reference for the saddle, but the stuff around it, I completely just guessed and made up myself. Like there's this greenish brown blanket or something like that, sash or whatever. I did the colors on my own. I did the little canteen, the repeater or whatever that's supposed to be. There's other stuff hanging down. But I think it turned out pretty good. I quite like, well, you're going to see here in a little while. I think the last three or last two after this are all like Western themed. So pretty cool. But anyway, day 98. And the third to last one, day 98, we have this. As I said, Western themed. And it's a cowboy running or riding against a sunset. And I think it turned out pretty good. It's not perfect. I don't quite like how extreme these colors are here. But off camera, it doesn't look as bad. Maybe you could mistake them for like clouds in front of the sunset, but I don't think it looks too good like that. I think they should have been slightly lesser there. But I do quite like the cowboy on the horse and the dark background. I think that looks really cool. Anyway, day 99, which is interesting. Ooh, that's bright. And for day 99, we have Marty Robbins, because I like Marty Robbins. And so I drew him from the classic, the Gunfighters and Trail Ballads songs thingamabobber album. The one I don't have that album, but I think it's a pretty cool album cover, and I quite like his pose in it, so I decided to draw him, and I think it turned out pretty good. Only thing I don't like is the face. It's very simplistic and, well, obviously. But the background's pretty simple. It's just a bunch of his songs and then his name going that way. Pretty cool. See you in day 100. The final day. And for day 100, we have this. Another sunset. My favorite thing to do. And it is actually fitting for 100 days. Or for the final day. We have this guy standing in a field. I had the idea of this guy just from listening to a book. And I think it turned out pretty good. It's just a tall, hooded figure in a cornfield, or a wheat field, actually. And, yeah, the sun in the background illuminating him slightly, but his figure's obscured. And I think that looks really good. That was actually how I envisioned him, so, you know, pretty cool. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed. And, time for the outro, I guess. 100 days. Ooh. I do hope you enjoyed that. And, yeah, if you stayed till the end, you're crazy, first of all, but also thank you. And, yeah, I really liked to see how I improved over this time from number 1 to number 100. So, I do hope you enjoyed too. This took over 9 days to record and edit. So, add that onto the 120 something total. Probably around 140 total now. But yeah, I shall see you next time in another video. Goodbye.